Well, welcome to our wonderful interview. And let's see if we can add Michelle and see if it worked this time. Michelle, can you hear us? No, I don't think so. Well, we're gonna go ahead with our interview. And Neelam, what a day to celebrate! And do you have your book with you?
Yes. So much of running to get my baby here.
That's awesome. I'm not sure that Michelle is able to even hear us, and she's been having some technical difficulties. And so we will just have the conversation, and we'll pick it up later with. So here we go. Let me see if she will. Okay. So we are live, and we are talking about Unbreakable Spirit, and just delightful to be able to see and hear the stories of so many in this book. Neelam, what made you decide to be a part of this amazing book?
Um, Two folds. I think one was to share the message of resilience and going through a hardship and coming out alive, I must say. And I think that would give encouragement to all the women who are going through breast cancer and feel that they're not alone and there is a ray of hope of being healthy and recovered.
Beautiful, beautiful. And there's not one of us that can get through life without something that it's just
So,
kind of whacks us upside the head, and then here we are. What are we going to do about it? And for many of us will stay in that path and not rise above. But you've chosen to rise above, and you've chosen to live a rich and full life. This book has a wonderful endorsement that I would like to read to kind of set the tone for this conversation.
thank you.
It says this book exceeds its promise. Not only does Unbreakable Spirit share 18 profound, page-turning stories of feminine resilience, it reminds each of us of our divine feminine, which can transcend circumstances. I can't think of a better time for this book to show up in our world. The masculine may be ready to fight, but we'd be wise to ask if any of these powerhouse women what to fight for, and what to end. And that is so beautiful. So your chapter, mm, sharing your story and knowing that your story has such power. How has your story impacted you by just the simple writing of it?
Uh, when you have thoughts, the best way to know if you have healed and have accepted is to write it.
Mhm.
Writing, gives you the power of the acceptance because now words and feelings are written. The lessons are shared forever. They are etched into the world to share. So my biggest one thing I would think about, that is the acceptance. I think, when anger and despair um, consumes you and you have this quiet acceptance, I think that was why I wanted to share that. So,
Beautiful. You know, I think we can kind of wander around kind of not knowing our way. We can be angry, we can do all other things. And the one thing about it, sharing your story in a book like this, or even in your own personal book, is that it's that ripple effect out to the world. It
mhm.
is the the impact. And I always say that if even it's just one person that read my story and it made a difference in their lives, so worth it. So
Yeah,
worth it.
that's what I say.
There's a quote in your chapter that I wanted to share, and it says, "This story transcends conquering cancer. It chronicles transformation through embracing it fully. Daily heartfulness practices continue to sustain this unfoldment, morning meditations, mindful pauses, and even evening gratitude that complete each cycle of growth. I continue evolving not despite my cancer experience, but because of the profound awakening it initiated. So, as we read those words, it struck me. So, what is this awakening you're talking about?
Again, I don't want to repeat, but I think this acceptance and wanting to accept of who I am, and of who I am is all of us kind of question that into our subconsciousness. You
Mm,
know, am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I worthy enough? Am I loved enough? Will somebody love me just the way I am? So I learned that in this heartfulness practice, which is comprised of meditation, cleaning, and prayer, that gave me an anchor to learn and face these big questions of ourselves, self-worthy, self-acceptance. And I think we all struggle, and I am sharing in vulnerability my story of how I learned those. And I'm sure the other sisters in this world would find themselves learning this another way. But the heartfulness practice gave the foundation, the anchoring to me to say, look within, go deep within, question such things. Are you worthy? Where in the incidents when I've shared in my story that, I'm always begging for love because there was a self lack is in the heart. So we kind of, all of us look for it. And I found that in me that I was searching for things that I didn't think I had within. Love was number one. Number two, acceptance, and able to want to fly and not be bogged down into this gunk of negative thought process that we tell ourselves it doesn't show outside, but it resides inside. So,
that's
in
beautiful.
thinking through that inside was a huge and heartfulness practice. I would like to add to you, Becky, that it's easy to say that I meditate, and I've been doing it for so long. I impact the people that I teach. But really, I when I went through this cancer treatment, stage 4, that I realized maybe I didn't understand those lessons myself.
Mm,
Until I was rock bottom and I saw myself swaying, out of practice after having it and doing it for so long. How a one challenge in my life easily took me away for not able to do it, and somebody came to help me out. So, and that really speaks to it, that not to judge myself and others, because we don't know what situations they are in. We don't know what hardships they have gone through. So even if you have it all and you know how to meditate, you know how to do everything, and only time that you are tested is at that time when your body and you're not able to move as much as you think you could.
there's always that saying.
Easy to preach, it's hard to learn. And I learned that lesson in a really hard way myself.
Mm,
Maybe a better teacher, better student, and maybe a better sisterhood along the way.
I think that we're as women we're building sisterhoods in a lot of different ways, and it's time for that because there's always somebody out there that needs to hear the story.
Yeah.
So in the back cover, there's some three groups of words: stories is medicine, courage is prayer,
Yes.
spirit unbreakable. Stories is medicine. How would you equate that to the way this book is written and how your chapter? How are our stories medicine?
So, what is medicine? It has a placebo effect as well. There's always so many signs that somebody tells you that this is a medicine and it automatically heals.
Yes,
The mind, it's
power
the
of
mind
suggestion.
and the acceptance that it could heal me. A hug can heal you, a smile can heal you. So there is a story when shared from the bottom of your heart, and it resonates with someone from heart to heart.
Yes.
Words are only 5%, maybe 10 of what people hear you. And Then there is a touch that people would remember. And that may be a little more, 25 to 30%. But 90% of plays from heart to heart, a story to a story, a story that is not just written for fiction, but written from the soul, only with the intention that it would help someone heal, a sister somewhere, anywhere in the world, is the medicine. Because medicine is just a chemical composition, which means nothing in a grand scheme of things. We have seen a lot of miracles where so many ways that we touch hearts. And this is one way of sharing touching hearts that I can't reach those who are not in a physical near end to me.
Right. Right. And you never know when somebody's going to pick up this book, open the book to your chapter and say, and get lost in it and say, that person is writing to me.
Right? And we actually, universally with that, universe helps us. You
Yeah,
will pick the same book among, in a one bookstore or in anyone's house. You will pick a bookstore, book out of thousands, your book. And within those 17 stories, you'll pick your story because that's exactly what they want to hear. So
right.
we become the medium for the universe to connect the other hearts to hearts, souls to soul, without having to have a physical meaning to know who I am, how I did. I live in US. They could be living in, I don't know, South America, Peru, for heaven's sake. And, they could pick up that book and say, I resonate with this. She's talking to me. I feel exactly the same way. And why aren't we all? We all women go through similar stories in just a different way.
Very much, very much. So, how is courage as prayer? That's on the back of the book as well. Courage
Mm.
as prayer. What is that?
In my perspective, I think to ask help was another very difficult lesson I learned. And I'll share a very small story of anecdotal to share with you why courage is a prayer, why we need courage to pray. Is that one of my friends? So I used to go to get wheatgrass. So just like a medicine, somebody told me wheatgrass is super good for your health and brings you back when you are going through cancer. So every day I would go to Jamba Juice and drink wheatgrass. So one time my friend came pick me up and she paid and it was $5 some cents. And so I said, oh, I owe you money for I'll give it tomorrow. I don't have cash today. She said, no worries. Next day she came, she took me to Jamba Juice again. Again she paid. And I said, oh, I forgot money again. She said, don't worry. I said, oh, I owe you $12 now. And then third time I said, oh, I owe you 18. Again, I forgot money. And she just, when I said I owe you 18, she stopped the car, like brake really hard in the middle of the road and said, Neelam, I don't give you gamba juice for freaking $6. I do it because I don't want to lose a friend. I don't want to lose someone I love. It's really hard to find amazing people you love. And I don't do this for money. And that night I cried. I said, how shameful of you to not, and again, this shameful of you is badgering myself. So I'm only sharing that moment feeling that I didn't realize that I prayed for help. The help came through a friend taking me to Jamba Juice. It was never about money. It was about me and her. So to ask for help takes a lot of courage because we tend to give right away. You gave me a book gift, let me give you a gift back. Oh, it was $25. Let me match it to Becky's gift. She didn't give you for money. She didn't give you for anything else but to make a smile on your face, and that worth millions. So you can't put value to a gift. So courage, you need courage to ask for help, to prayer, and that prayer to the universe so the right person, right time, with the right thing shows up.
Beautiful. That is just so incredibly special. And I think in getting to know you, I've learned you're not a taker, you're a giver. You know, and that's where in being aware of the kind of there's a laws of the universe. One is being the law of reciprocation.
Yeah.
But everything comes around full circle. So does the law of compensation. So it's so important to understand that. And when we give freely. and we give from our hearts. And even sharing your story is a way to give freely and from the heart. And you may never know who it's impacted, but you also may know that it will impact. And sometimes those stories come right back to you. It's beautiful.
Yeah, in giving, Becky, in giving, as you said, but I received a lot more.
Mhm.
So in giving, you receive. You don't just give.
No, that's right.
In giving, you receive.
That's
So
that
if I give a
reciprocation.
book to someone, they've given me a smile, they've given me a hug, and they've given me healing to the world. They've given me a friend that I didn't have. So you receive a lot more than we give. So having sometimes, I learned that in ego that I thought I was giving, but I received so much more. And when I really prayed, the people who really had the heart to reciprocate to that prayer or to receive that prayer, to execute on that prayer, showed up. And they weren't the people who I thought were closest to me. They weren't the people who I thought my best friends. Actually, they never showed up. These are the calm people who sit in the back, who never ever thought that would ever reach out to me, but they were my angels. So you just never know how much you receive when you give very little.
Mhm.
You receive so much more when we give.
Beautiful. And that is what helps to cultivate that end result of an unbreakable spirit, you know.
Our ego always tells us, you can do it. You don't need anybody. You can live alone. You don't need anybody. Why do you need to trouble somebody? Uh, in that, we don't have courage to pray.
Right?
Pray is really, really begging the universe to help you. And we can't do it without that help.
Nope.
The
That's
dead otherwise. Yeah.
very, very, very good. Well, I'm so proud that to have got to meet you through this and to understand that it's through all these voices, this collaboration of voices, one
Yeah.
voice at a time, one book at a time, one story at a time, we're impacting the world. And that's what we want. We want to make a difference because we lead in that way. And it's
Yes.
very beautiful. Thank you for your beautiful contribution in this lovely book. And continue to grow. Continue to grow from it. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was lovely speaking with you. Thank you for time.
All right, very good. Let's end this.